Hi, everyone. It's Elizabeth from Organized Chaos. The last few years, I have done a March Madness style song bracket for Music in Our Schools month in the month of March. And I've been sharing those on my website, caldwellorganizedchaos.com. I've had several requests to see sort of concretely an example of how I do the actual voting in my school, as I've changed the process for how I do that the last few years. So this video is just showing you an example of how I've set it up. So when I first started doing the Music in Our Schools month song bracket, I picked out songs. I figured out how many songs I needed so that I could have two songs go against each other each day, round one, and then the winners go on to the next round, just like you would in March Madness bracket, until you end up at the end of the month with one winner. And I had the principal play a little snippet of each song on the morning announcements. And then the homeroom teachers would just email me and tell me which song their class voted for when they were listening to it on the announcements. Obviously, when the pandemic happened, we weren't having morning announcements, at least not live. So I had to shift gears, and it ended up being something that the homeroom teachers preferred. So I started setting up slides, which I'm going to show you in this video how I've done it exactly, so that each homeroom had the audio files, and the homeroom teacher would just play those two songs for the day by opening up their copy of the slides and playing them sometime during the day. So homeroom teachers, although it gives them the responsibility of having to play the songs themselves, they actually prefer it this way rather than having it on the announcements. Frankly, our speaker system is not the best. And so the audio quality is better when they're playing it from their computers in their room. And also, it means that they have more control over when they do it. And a lot of homeroom teachers over the years have found that it's a great way to, ease everyone back in after recess or after they come back from PE and they're trying to get everyone settled down, or to use as a brain break. Or some people will even like tie it into a writing lesson or all kinds of different things. And so they have a lot more control over how they incorporate it into their day this way. So that's the explanation for why I've ended up continuing with the slides, even though we're back obviously fully in person now. So what I do every year, this is what I've set up for this school year, but this is how I've done it the last few years. I first of all make a Google Doc where I put all of the songs and figure out which day I'm going to have which two songs go against each other. I have a list of all the songs that I'm doing this year for this year's theme that NAFME put out, which is Music is All of Us. You can find those on my blog, and there's links to all of them so you can listen to every song on caldwellorganizedchaos.com, as well as all of my previous lists from the last several years and the songs that I've done for that. But then as we go, when I find out which song won for the whole school each day, I copy and paste that song title to the next day so that when we get to round two, I already know which songs are coming up so I can add them into the slides. So that's kind of the running document. And I share this with teachers as well, because again, some teachers like to incorporate it into their lessons. And so they like to be able to look ahead and see what songs are coming up. And then I set up a sort of template, a master slide document where I preload the audio files for the songs, and then I add a little text box that I modify for each page that says the date on it so that the homeroom teachers, when they open their copy, can keep track of where they are and what day they're on. And the way the slides work is like it says right here, they listen to the two audio tracks and then they have the kids in the room vote. And whichever one gets more votes, they move the music note, or, different years I've done different things, but to the box for the one that they voted for. That makes it really easy for me to then go through each class's slides, because obviously that does take a minute. But I can really easily visually see which one they've voted for, and figure out which song has won for the whole school, a lot more quickly that way. Um, I have the templates without the audio, because obviously I don't own the rights to those to be able to share them. But there are templates for these slides that I've made, also on this in the same blog post where I've shared my song list. And there's also a version besides the 2 boxes. There's also a version with 3. Depending on how many school days there are in the month and how it happens to fall with the weekends and everything else, I usually end up with 1 or 2 days towards the end where there's 3 songs going against each other. This day, it's going to end up being the very last day, the top 3 songs. I'll have them vote at once. And then the last day of March, the 31st, on Friday, we'll announce the final winner. There's also this blank slide. So I do have some songs every year that are not in English. And so I haven't done this in the past, but this year I'm planning to, because the lyrics are sort of a big part of how it fits into the theme, I'm planning to include the original lyrics and the translation for songs that are not in English, just so that if homeroom teachers want to use the translation and show the class, they certainly can. And it's an easy way for them to look it up and tell kids what the lyrics mean. So that's the master copy of the slides that I make first. Then I make copies of the first week's worth of slides with the audio files and the date in it, for each homeroom that I have in my school building. So this year, March starts on a Wednesday. So I just have 3 slides in here for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday that are preloaded. And then I will go and add the homeroom teacher as an editor of their copy of the slides, so that obviously they can move the note over. And then I change the title to show the name of the class. I've ended up doing it like this with a week at a time, so that teachers, if they know they're going to be out the next day because they have a meeting or whatever, they will sometimes play the next day's songs in advance. So it is helpful to have more than just one day, which is what I was doing at first. But also having all of them gets to be a little bit too much, because then they're having to scroll through to find it, especially when you get later in the month. So I found doing a week at a time is a good happy medium, that makes it easy enough for teachers to quickly find where they're trying to go, but also giving them a chunk at a time instead of just one day, and makes my life easier. I can just over the weekend change out the slides. And again, it's really doesn't take that much time. I just copy the slides in from the master copy that I have and paste it into this copy. So then at the end of each day, when I'm figuring out who the winner is, I open it and I can see where the note is, and then I can just exit really fast like that. And you can see it really doesn't take that long for me to figure out which song was the winner. And then I send an email to the principal and say, this was the song that won. And the next morning, they play that song, a little snippet of it on the morning announcements, so that the kids know which song was the winning song. And I also, when I get all the audio files from wherever you get them from, I put them all in one folder within my Music in Our Schools Month folder in Google Drive. That just makes it easy for me to make sure that I have all the audio files and make sure that they're shared correctly, so that the homeroom teachers can play the audio. It's important to make sure if you're setting it up this way, remember that you have to share the audio file as well. Not just the slides. So anyway, I hope this is helpful for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out anytime, and you can find more information about this and see my song list for this year as well as all my previous years on my website, caldwellorganizedchaos.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.